Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I will be scrapping with the January 2021 double page sketch from Stick It Down. And I'm still feeling rather Christmassy, so I will be scrapping some Christmas photos. These are not from this Christmas just past, they are older one, and accordingly I am using all the stock from my stash. So for this layout I am using my Christmas 2019 kit, and first of all I'm selecting the paper for the background, and I am looking for patterns that are not too busy, colours that are not too bright, as I do have a tendency of using quite bright and dark colours, traditional Christmassy colours, and then just not being overly happy with the end result. So for this layout I decided to choose lighter options and also maybe non-traditional Christmas colours like the blues, which complement the photos quite well. And I am also looking for something to mat the photos on before I put them onto the layout. So I'm just trialing different variations out, bearing in mind that this is a double page. So the two 4x6 photos will be on the left hand side, and on the right hand side there's going to be I think 2 or 3 smaller photos which will be completely different in tone and in colours. So I'm just trying to think ahead and select cardstock and pattern papers that would complement both sides of the double page layout. I was really drawn to that piece of orange red cardstock. It was a perfect match to some of the colours on the photos, but it was just ever so slightly too small to be able to use it for matting both of the 4x6 photos on. So in the end I ended up trimming both photos ever so slightly, just to make it work. I did find the two sides of this double page sketch a little bit disjointed. So in here I'm stacking the photos onto pattern papers that I know I can use on the other half of the layout, and I'm doing this to create a bit of carryover and a bit of unity between the two sides of the layout. I wanted to introduce the colour blue to the layout at this point just to pick up on some of the colours on the photos, and I ended up going with the lighter blue, which I just thought was a much better choice because it made the layout a lot lighter, which is what I was going for. I wanted to introduce a bit of a different texture to the layout, so I decided to replace the vertical panel with something other than cardstock or pattern paper. I trialed some of the jute ribbons I've got, but they weren't really a good fit for one reason or the other. So I ended up going with a 2-inch wide wood grain washi tape, which was just perfect. What I didn't include in this video is the gutting of the background paper. I had to gut the red cardstock just so I can carry it over to the other side of the layout, as you can see it now. And I also had to cut the blue pattern paper as well, just to stretch it to make it big enough for the page. So on the right hand side of the layout I am repeating some of the pattern papers I have used on the left. The green and the yellow paper are the ones I used for matting the two 4x6 photos onto, and the red cardstock is the same as the cardstock on the left hand side of the layout. And I also introduced a new pattern paper which is complementary in colours for all the other papers. And finally I am introducing an extra long journaling card to journal on later on. On the right hand side, instead of using square photos, I am using 3 rectangular photos. The one in the bottom right quadrant had to be covered up because I didn't have consent from my children to be using this photo on social media. And these photos, 2 of them are of vertical orientation and one is horizontal, which can be quite tricky to arrange on a page without it being jarring to the eyes. So I alternated the photos, matching vertical with vertical and horizontal with horizontal diagonally, and this created a pattern which always reminds me of a windmill. And because it's a symmetrical pattern, it's much more pleasing to the eyes. Right, so on to the embellishments. Because this double page is part of a larger story, I'm not using my best embellishments for this layout, I'm sorry to say. I'm trying to stretch my stash, so I'm using handmade embellishments cut out from pattern paper. So the little snow globes were hand cut and the floral pieces were cut with my Pix mat and silhouette machine. And I just find it quite an inexpensive way of generating embellishments. So I'm just creating 3 embellishment clusters, and I'm using a snow globe in each, a little floral embellishment, and then the one in the middle I'm putting another house die cut because it was a lovely manor house we were visiting. I'm introducing a sentiment for the top left embellishment corner, just to introduce a bit of the yellow from the right hand side. And then again a snow globe and a little floral cluster for the one on the right hand side. And then what I've done here is I created a little mat for a couple of the photos from the same wood grain washi tape I'm using on the left hand side. So I'm carrying that pattern and that colour over to the right, and I'm propping them onto some thick packaging material which I repurposed to lift the photos off the page and giving some dimension to the layout. And I'm matting the remaining photo and journaling card onto a light blue pattern paper to introduce the blue to this side of the layout as well. I really wanted the die cut center in the car to work on this layout, but it just didn't. It was just really confusing. It looked like a 4th embellishment cluster, which was completely out of place and didn't correspond with the other 3. And it's just messed with the composition. So I decided not to include it on this page. And I used the journaling card for a die cut sentiment. To complete the embellishment clusters, I have added some gold and red glitter buttons, which corresponded quite well with the theme of decorations on the photos. And in here, I'm just looking for something to cover up the top of the journaling card. And I ended up just doing some minimal stamping on a label and adding that to the layout, and then adding my journaling and some gold ink. And I think that's the end of it. It's all done. So thank you for visiting my YouTube account and watching my process video. Don't forget to check back to the Stick It Down blog for inspiration throughout the month. And Happy New Year. Bye bye.